Chapter 2. Unraveling Clues. The sudden disappearance of Mr. Blackwood sent ripples of unease throughout the Beacon Hotel. The elegant corridors and luxurious suites, usually a haven for tranquility, were now steeped in an air of suspense. Caroline Adams, still reeling from the events of the morning, steeled herself as she prepared to assist Detective Reynolds in the investigation. Detective Reynolds, a man of few words but sharp instincts, wasted no time. He instructed the hotel staff to secure Mr. Blackwood's suite and began questioning the employees. Caroline found herself in his makeshift office, a corner of the hotel's grand lobby temporarily converted into an investigation hub. "Miss Adams, I need you to recount everything you remember about Mr. Blackwood's stay and any interactions you had with him," Reynolds said, his gaze intense but not unkind. Caroline took a deep breath. "Mr. Blackwood arrived last night. He seemed composed but also tense. He handed me an envelope for you, which I delivered immediately. He kept to himself mostly, but this morning I found his suite in disarray and him gone." Reynolds nodded, jotting down notes. "Did he mention anyone or anything that seemed unusual? Any guests or staff he interacted with more than usual?" Caroline shook her head. "No, he didn't mention anyone specifically, but there was that note I found. Trust no one. They're closer than you think. It was left on the writing desk." The detective frowned. "Interesting. It suggests he felt threatened or was onto something. We need to find out what he knew and who might want to silence him." As the day wore on, Reynolds and his team combed through the suite, looking for any clues that might shed light on Mr. Blackwood's disappearance. They found a few personal items, including a small leather-bound notebook filled with cryptic entries and a detailed map of Boston with several locations marked. Meanwhile, Caroline resumed her duties but kept an ear to the ground, listening for any gossip or unusual behavior among the guests and staff. The hotel's usual rhythm was disrupted, and the atmosphere was charged with tension. Later that afternoon, Reynolds approached Caroline with a new lead. "We've identified some of the locations on the map. One of them is a warehouse on the outskirts of the city. We're going to check it out. I'd like you to come with us." Caroline blinked in surprise. "Me? Why?" "Because Mr. Blackwood trusted you enough to give you that envelope. You might notice something we don't. Plus, you seem to have a knack for this," Reynolds replied with a slight smile. Feeling a mix of apprehension and determination, Caroline agreed. They drove to the warehouse, an old, dilapidated building that seemed out of place amidst the urban sprawl. As they approached, Reynolds motioned for silence and signaled his team to spread out. The warehouse was dark and musty, with shafts of light piercing through the broken windows. As they moved deeper inside, they found evidence of recent activity. Discarded packaging, footprints in the dust, and a peculiar set of blueprints spread across a workbench. Reynolds examined the blueprints, his expression growing more serious. "These are detailed schematics for high-security vaults. It looks like someone was planning a heist or had already executed one." Caroline's mind raced. "Could this be connected to the jewel theft in New York?" "Possibly. If Mr. Blackwood was investigating this, it might explain why he disappeared," Reynolds said grimly. Suddenly, a noise echoed through the warehouse, and the team froze. They crept towards the source of the sound, discovering a hidden room behind a stack of crates. Inside, they found a man tied to a chair, bruised but alive. It was Mr. Blackwood. Caroline rushed to his side. "Mr. Blackwood, are you all right?" He nodded weakly. "Yes, but we need to get out of here. They'll be back soon." As they helped him to his feet, Mr. Blackwood handed Reynolds a USB drive. "Everything you need to know is on this. It's the key to unraveling the entire operation." With Mr. Blackwood safely in their custody, they hurried back to the hotel. The pieces of the puzzle were starting to come together, but the danger was far from over. Caroline knew that the next steps would be crucial in uncovering the truth and ensuring justice. As night fell over Boston, the Beacon Hotel stood as a silent witness to the unfolding mystery. The shadows that crept through its hallways seemed to whisper secrets, hinting at the deeper intrigue yet to be revealed.